G'day everybody, Nick Dingle here again for another Microsoft Excel 2013 tutorial. This one is the bread and butter. We're going to be talking about formulas. Okay, so the formulas really are what makes spreadsheets so powerful, okay? And it's probably the most important thing you need to learn from the beginning. So, well, besides the terms and everything else I did. So to actually create a formula, all formulas start with an equals symbol. Okay, so as soon as I type an equals in, Excel is going to recognize that I'm typing in a formula, and everything that follows this equals, it needs to calculate. So the simplest thing to think of in a formula is you can start using your maths operators. So your plus, your minus, and your times, and your divide. So for example, we can quickly do that now. I'm just going to be going add, minus, times, divide, and then we can do exponent, just like so. So these ones, I'm going to press equals next to the add, okay, in B1. I'm going to type 5 plus 5. Simple as that. When I hit the enter key, it's actually going to perform the calculation, and you're not going to see the equals 5 plus 5 anymore. You're going to see the result, which is 10. Okay. If I click on that cell, you'll notice the formula bar still says 5 plus 5, even though the cell is displaying 10. Okay, and we can keep doing this. So if I go equals 5 minus 5, and hit enter, we again see the calculation. Equals for the times, we use an asterisk symbol. So shift and the 8 key on the keyboard, people. And that gives us times. And then divide is the forward slash. Okay, forward slash because the top of the bar leans forward. Okay, hit enter. And then exponent, which is your power of, is shift 6. Which is a much larger value. So this is just a quick introduction to formulas and using just basic maths operators. Now, of course, we can create much more complicated formulas by bringing in brackets or just more values. So for example, I could do 4 plus 5 times 6 and hit enter, and that gives me the value straight away. So I love spreadsheets for this. This is why I use them all the time. Now, you may know, if you're a little bit up to in maths, about year 8 or so, you should know, well, even by year 7, you should know order of operation. The times is going to happen before the plus happens, and Excel abides by these rules, okay? So it's going to go 5 times 6, which is 30 plus 4, 34. What if we wanted the 4 plus 5 to happen first? So we're actually doing 9 times 6 to give us 45. Then all we need to do is bring in brackets or parentheses, whatever you want to call them. And that's shift 9 to open it up. And I'm going to use the arrows to move around, and shift 0 to close it on the other side of the 5. With those brackets around the 4 plus 5, they're going to be added first, then the times is going to happen on the end. 54. I'm an idiot. I said 45, didn't I? Because I was doing 4. No, never mind. That was my brain just having a massive fart for you. Alright, so there's a quick example of how to use formulas, and I suggest you just have a quick go at that yourself, because right now you need to get the basics down pat before I continue. Pause the video if you want to do so right now, because I'm going to delete all this. I'm going to highlight it all, and hit delete on the keyboard, and we're going to move into the next thing. Let's say you work a casual job, okay? You have a pay rate, okay? Let's say that pay rate is okay, it's $18.5 an hour. And you want to calculate the hours you've worked for the week. Let's say you've had a pretty good week. You've had 34 hours this week. You want to calculate $18.5 per hour by 34 hours. Okay, that's pretty easy to do. First thing I'm going to do before we continue, I want to format this as a dollar. And you simply do that under this. I really should have shown that in the previous video, but that's fine. We're going to deal with them as we come to them. So essentially, I want to do 18.5 times 34 to calculate the amount that I should be paid before tax. So I'm going to keep equals for the formula. I'm going to type 18.5 times 34. 629. Again, I'm going to calculate that as a currency. How good's that? That calculated it very, very quickly. It was pretty easy for me to type in. It was no effort of mine at all. However, let's say the next week I work fewer hours. I work 28 hours. That means I have to update the hours number there, and I also have to change the update the hours in the formula as well. Okay, and there we go. There's my answer. Now, we're going to bring in cell references because this is probably the most important thing of formulas, okay? So I want to do 18.5 times the hours, okay? So I'm going to delete this one for the moment because that's a bad formula. That's actually how you don't want to do things. I'm going to hit equals, and I want to use 18.5 first. So I'm simply going to click on the number 18.5. Now you'll notice a couple of things. First of all, it put B1, which is the cell address name, okay? So I'm now referencing B1 in my formula. Okay, you'll even see it's got a little blue outline, which indicates that's the blue cell. Okay, and I want to times it by my hours. So I simply then type in the asterisk and click on the next cell below. So I'm now using B2 as a cell reference. And you can see it's come up red as a different color, so you can distinguish your different cells that you're using. If I now hit the enter key, it's going to finish up that formula for me. Okay. And let's say the next week I work, I get 35 hours. It's been a bloody good week, so I type in 35. And you'll see straight away that that formula, because it's referencing my cells, has updated automatically. I get a pay raise, $19.2. You see it change again. All right, so if we've got any formulas that reference cells that change, they will automatically be updated. And that is why spreadsheets are so damn powerful. So we could step this up a little bit here. Let's say casual people generally on a Sunday will work a penalty rate. So they'll get paid a little bit of a higher rate than you usually would expect. And on Sundays, for me, it used to be time and a half. So 50% more than my usual rate. So we can actually use, again, a formula to calculate that new rate. And then we can have penalty hours and then add that up and add it onto our total. So there's a lot of things we can do here. So I'm going to do this step by step with you. So let's say I first of all want to calculate my rate, okay, at 150%. So time and a half simply means 150%. So we can do that by going equals for a formula, clicking on this cell, because what if my rate changes? Then I'm going to have to update it. So just click on the cell and use a cell reference. Use an asterisk and just put 1.5. That basically means 150%. Okay, we're increasing it by half. If I hit enter, you can see my new penalty rate. Okay, and let's say I've worked 3 hours, which are penalty rates. And I'm going to quickly do the same formula here, but for these two cells. Okay, now here's an awesome feature of that fill down box that we used in the previous videos, in video 2, I think it was. I can actually click and drag that formula across, and it's actually going to know if I'm moving across, it's going to update the cell references across as well. So let me just quickly do it and then I'll talk you through it. So I'm going to click and drag. So you have a look at the formula. It's actually referencing C1 and C2, even though I copied it from this one, which was B1 and B2. I'm going to talk about that more in the future videos. But that fill down or fill across is the most handy feature you will find in a lot of videos. Okay, so now I've calculated my penalty rates. I can actually calculate my total pay, which is that plus that. Hit enter. And there is my total pay before tax, I guess. That's a lot of money, and I would get taxed right out the wazoo for that one. But there is a quick introduction to your formulas, people. The next video, we're going to be looking at something a lot more powerful than just formulas for the moment. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.